Downey, John Kilbride, Pauline Reed, and Keith Bennett. And at the heart of the case, a couple who killed them.
Pressmen, cameramen, sightseers all converged as the police began one of the most extensive murder searches in history.
People think, oh, the Moors murders. I know what the Moors murders are. It's all in the past. Myra Hindley and Ian Brady are dead. The thing's done and dusted. But if you look at it, the case isn't closed.
How on earth have you got your hands on these?
There have been so many missed opportunities with this story, and we can't let this be another one.
Hopefully, some new evidence will come to light. It's got to be.
Hello, Ian?
Oh?
All right?
Yeah. The only thing I'm allowed now is a fucking electronic typewriter, and I certainly don't want those personal files to get into their own fucking hands.
You're going to have to declare this to the police.
That's Hyde Police Headquarters, the center of one of the biggest ever police search operations in this country. Inside now, detectives are studying a police file, which day by day grows in content. And it's collecting evidence which might confirm the killings of young children.
As a journalist, there are some stories that you can't walk away from, no matter how much you might want to. The Moors murders have cast a dark shadow for 60 years. I first started working on the case when I questioned Myra Hindley about her version of events. I met her in the 1990s, and I asked her where Keith Bennett is buried. I never got a clear answer. That's why, whether I like it or not, I'm still working on the case all these years later. A lot of the paperwork disappeared after the trial of Myra Hindley and Ian Brady. These trial transcripts which were in here, I tried to get those decades ago, and the Crown Prosecution Service told me they'd all been shredded. When I was told that the original defence case files still existed, I went to look at the material, and I was astonished by what I found. Notes written by Myra Hindley and photographs taken by Ian Brady, all put together by the defence team in the 1960s.
So do you think there's anything more to be said about the Moors murders?
There's still a body on the moors. Keith Bennett hasn't been found. The reason this stuff matters is because at the time it was put together, Ian Brady and Myra Hindley were charged with just 3 murders. We now know they'd carried out at least 5. I feel I've got a responsibility to look at this, to examine it, and just to see what's in there, see if it takes us anywhere. I don't know how to find bodies, so if there's evidence here that could help find Keith, it needs a specialist, it needs professionals.
The hardest cases I think I've ever dealt with in my career are child deaths. When you hear the term Moors murders, you understand immediately the magnitude of that case. My ambition has always been to be a detective. My career in the police lasted a full 30 years. I've been exposed to some of the most difficult and challenging police investigations in my career, largely around homicides. When I left the police, I looked around at how I could use my expertise, but the one that I eventually chose was to use my skill set to examine potential miscarriages of justice. It motivates me every day that when I open up a new case, I really immerse myself and look for where the mistakes may have been made.
Fitzpatrick, who is Brady and Hindley's solicitor, has kept all of his material. He's kept every scrap of paper that Myra Hindley and Ian Brady wrote. He's kept every single log of every single interview he had. He knew that the material he had here was of historical importance, but I think he also knew that this wasn't done and dusted, it wasn't over, and that's why he's kept it. And here it is, finally emerging after 60 years.
It was a big step to let Duncan see the files. It was a major step. I take my responsibilities as a solicitor very seriously. I did as much research on Duncan as I could.
Somewhere on this part of the moor lies the grave of Keith Bennett. Duncan Stuff, BBC News, Saddleworth Moor.
I liked him. Quite posh.
Duncan, it's Myra. Can you confirm, in a short note, that you got my letter and tape?
I would have loved to have met Hindley to try to form my own opinion as to how much more she did actually know and whether she led everybody on a wild goose chase. She changed the story so many times to suit whoever was her patron at the time.
Throughout the investigations, the authorities have been concerned about the public's reaction to the macabre story that was unfolding. And on this day, their fears were confirmed.
When Brady and Hindley were arrested, they were arrested in Hattersley, which is probably 2 miles from here.
Hattersley, a Manchester overspill area, is the epitome of respectable working-class suburbia. Rows of new brick boxes, the odd skyscraper block of flats, and rents at £3 a week. It seemed incredible that this estate could be associated with the lurid rumours of mass murders.
What we've got here is a forensic account of how the police found 17-year-old Edward Evans.
It was a murder in a house, someone beaten to death. And here is a map of the crime scene.
I had the terrible feeling that something had happened to him right away because he wasn't the kind of boy who would leave home for any reason. And he was quite happy and very pleasant, always singing and whistling, and I just couldn't see him going away with anyone.
Newspaper report about a missing girl, Leslie Ann Downey.
She had disappeared on Boxing Day 1964 on her way to a fair in Manchester.
The police carried on investigating and they found a suitcase in the left luggage office at Manchester Central Station.
Yet more disturbing reports of a gruesome tape recording and a number of pornographic photographs.
There were pictures of Leslie being abused before she was murdered, but there was also a tape recording, and it's that tape recording that really sank Myra Hindley, because it proved that she was there when a child died.
Hindley said she didn't know that Brady was tape recording the session and that she was ashamed when she heard the tape played later.
This is a transcript of the tape. It's just completely brutal and uncaring. And this is the murder that she struggled with when she was writing to me. She didn't write about it. She wrote about all the others, gave an account, but with this, she couldn't deal with it. And the reason I think she couldn't deal with it is because she couldn't put herself away from it.
In this grave, they found the body of a young girl. 10 months after her disappearance, 10-year-old Leslie Ann Downey had been found.
That's Brady's handwriting. He's writing to his counsel, he's bothered by something. Oh, here we go. Photos and recordings inadmissible, urgent. Essential not to permit either accused to give sworn evidence as to any recordings or photos made by them. He's really bothered about the pictures. He doesn't want to be questioned about them, trying to keep evidence out of the case.
5 days after the discovery of Leslie Ann Downey, the police found another body, that of 12-year-old John Kilbride. John, who had vanished almost 2 years before, was found only 400 yards from the grave of Leslie Ann Downey. But even more significant was the clue that led the police to this spot. This was a snapshot, but the place where Myra Hindley was crouching wasn't just anywhere. Myra Hindley was crouching on the exact spot where John Kilbride was buried.
So they found John Kilbride and Leslie Ann Downey, but they knew there were other children missing. In fact, the search was called off. We know that Ian Brady took at least one image on top of a grave. Myra Hindley told me when writing to me that he had a system for recording where bodies were buried using photographs. So when I see a photograph here that is so very similar to an existing grave marker, I think, what is happening here? What is there to be gleaned from these images? Martin, good to meet you, Lars.
Yeah, good to meet you.
Come on in. Interested to see what you make of this lot. So we got witness statements, trial testimony, so that's transcripts from the trial. These are defence papers, so interviews with Brady and Hindley for their defence. Photographic exhibits, transcripts.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it was there, couldn't believe it existed. What's fascinating is that Myra Hindley wrote a note about every single police interview. So this is before, I think before they'd found John Kilbride. Have a look at that note there.
Only about J. Kilbride, who Mounsey said he was interested in, and Kay Bennett, who Tyrrell was interested in. That's a clear reference that they've spoken to Hindley at least about Keith Bennett's disappearance.
Yeah.
Was there any mention in any of the material here that you've read of Keith and Pauline at this stage?
So what I've got here is a trial transcript, and Joe Mounsey is being questioned by the judge, Mr. Fenton Atkinson, and he says, there were 4 missing children at this stage, and Mounsey answers, Kilbride, Downey, Reed and Bennett. And the Attorney General, who's prosecuting, asks, were these matters that you as police officers were under a duty to investigate? Most certainly, sir. So you can definitely see that they were part of the investigation. But this is the really fascinating bit. Does your lordship consider it necessary to give another warning to the press that this matter should not be reported at this stage? In other words, Reed and Bennett were not to be written about or spoken about, and the judge replies, I'm sure the press will not be reporting this.
I can understand why the judge gave that instruction, because clearly that would have prejudiced the jury and got them thinking beyond the facts of the case.
I think this decision by the judge, forbidding the press from writing about Keith and Pauline, I think that's one of the reasons the case just vanishes.
So this must have been produced as an exhibit 122 at the trial.
Yeah, so Brady He was a really keen photographer. He took hundreds and hundreds of pictures. This is his personal album, which the police seized.
We've got family portraits, a number of pets, and then this.
That's Leslie Ann Downey's grave.
So that's just interspersed in the middle of the album.
It's so clear from these files that the police in the 1960s realised that many of these photos had a hidden meaning. So here we have Brady's picture. There's the matching shot done by the police. They've worked out that the stones were in exactly the same place, and they dug down, and then they found the grave of John Kilbride.
These photos were clearly key to the police case of the 1960s, but what doesn't make sense to me is why they would then stop looking.
Going to see Sandra Wilkinson, who's one of the few surviving members of the original police investigation in the 1960s. She was there when the whole case was being put together. I'm really curious about why did they stop, why they focused on the 3 murders, and what they knew about other cases.
Hello.
Hello, Sandra.
Come on in.
Thank you.
There you are. Help yourself to that.
Thank you. Got a few bits and pieces here you might remember, but I'll show you them in a minute.
I'm sure.
And,
well, you're certainly keeping it alive, aren't you?
I've actually stayed away from it for years. I didn't want to go near it. And the only thing that's brought me back is this paperwork.
How on earth have you got your hands on these?
It's from the defence files.
Oh.
So tell me about what happened the day that the case came in.
It was a normal Thursday morning, except for the fact that Superintendent Talbot, he came in and said to me, "Get your coat, we've got a murder."
What did you have to do to bring it all together?
I was collating the paperwork, the statements, that sort of thing.
Did you do these? It's all the witness statements.
Well, in that case, yes, I did. Yeah, definitely.
Could you tell me about court?
He sat me right next to the exhibits. There was little John Kilbride's coat. Of course, with it having been buried, they have this acidic smell. Brady sort of shrugged and put his head down, and it was as if he'd accepted his fate. Had he been alone, worked alone, I don't think it would have made such a big impact. She was luring children to the deaths, him to kill, and I mean, that's horrendous. Up to then, we didn't think women ever did that sort of thing, but she did. A sick woman. Do you think they'll ever open the case again?
I think the police really only want to know if there's an X marks the spot for Keith. What's fascinating looking at these original files is it kind of all comes together. You see that there were multiple images of graves. It's not just one, and that's one thing that I hadn't really understood until I looked at these files and saw how it all fitted together. What I do wonder about these pictures is, where's Keith Bennett? Do they have a relevance to that? So I think it's worth looking at.
But then you've got to take into account the manpower and the cost.
Yeah, maybe it's almost easy for it to be looked at independently, to say, you know, is there anything in this? And then if there is, you take it to the police. Was there any sense of frustration at all, knowing that Keith Bennett wasn't being pursued at the time?
No, there wasn't frustration. It was an acceptance that we'd done our best. We'd all done our best, and the police had done a marvellous job already. And it was just one of those things. We had to shut down at that time.
Do you think there would have been an option of keeping going at the time?
No, definitely not, no. It was time to draw a line under it for that time, at that time. I think the basic policing there was marvellous. It was basic policing, police work that brought it to a conclusion. They couldn't go on any further. But we were living in different times, and I think times were tougher in the 60s. They did the best.
Once they had the 3 convictions, they could clearly have kept going. I can see why they did it. I can see why they thought, oh, this is really tough, we're gonna let it go. But do I think that that was the right decision? Well, deep down, no, I don't. Did that serve the interests of the families? No, I don't think it did. And did it serve the interests of the general public? Well, I don't think it did that either. You know, in my mind, you've got Ian Brady left in charge. You know, he knows he's still got bodies missing on the moor. He's got control over those bodies, and the families of those victims are still suffering. It's very hard to see how that's right. In the 1960s, Myra Hindley and Ian Brady weren't charged with the murders of Pauline Reade and Keith Bennett. So are these pictures any use to us in those cases?
So in this photograph taken by Ian Brady, Leslie Ann Downey's grave was found just above that. But what we now know is that it's quite close to where they found Pauline Reade as well.
The latest chapter in the affair came after a senior detective visited Myra Hindley at Cookham Prison in Kent. Detective Chief Superintendent Peter Topping said that she had agreed to cooperate with the police.
Police officers, some of them armed, took Myra Hindley 200 yards from the road to an area that she had pinpointed.
I discussed with her in detail, and she could recall, what she'd never said before, that when she'd been on the moor, she could see rocks silhouetted against the night sky. Now that took you further back into the moor on Holland Brown Knoll. We found the grave site of Pauline Reade.
The body was discovered in a part of the moor known locally as Holland Brown Knoll, not far from the spot where the body of Leslie Ann Downey was found almost a quarter of a century ago.
There's so much information there that supports the proposition that Pauline Reade's burial location was being plotted by Brady in the photographs, and that the police might have been able to explore that and expose that. If you got this kind of evidence in the 60s, why not continue the search of this area for Pauline and or Keith at that time? And that would have saved 20 years and more of heartache for the Reade family.
When I was 13, Dad said, they found her, thank God they found her. You always get, oh, is that you? Is that really you? Is that her? You know, you get all that. You know, and that's why I wear sometimes my cap. I like to keep my head down, and so nobody knows, you know, knows me.
I don't know yet if any of the photos in the case files relate to Keith Bennett, but I'm absolutely certain that there are several pictures linked to Pauline Reade.
Hello, Duncan.
Hello,
You
Jackie.
all right?
Yeah, I'm
Come
good.
in.
Thank you.
Do you want a drink or out?
Yeah, wouldn't mind a tea.
Tea, yeah.
How's your rabbit today?
Yeah, he's all right. He's out running around, I think.
What's his name?
Sandy.
Sandy.
Yeah.
I'm kind of conscious that me coming here today and talking to you about this stuff is difficult, and I'm worried about that. I'm worried that it puts you under too much pressure.
It needs to be done. It needs to be said. I mean, I'm the last, sort of like the last one. You can really speak for my family.
I first started doing work on this when Hindley was trying to get out of prison, and she claimed that she was bullied into the case by Brady, and so there was a chance of her being released at the time. So what I did was I wrote her and said, can I test your claim that you were bullied into everything by Brady? But then what happened when Hindley died was people close to her knew that there might be material in her paperwork that could help find Keith.
So you got the paperwork then?
I did. They were worried about dealing directly with the police, so they said, would I go through it and pass on anything that was relevant to the police?
Do you think the families had the right to look at them papers, what you got?
That's a very fair point, because I thought I was doing the right thing by going to the police. That
Yeah, but you're going to the police, but you should come to us. The evidence should come to the families, you know, so we can see. We're still going through it.
Yeah, well, I'll share things with you now. Do you want me to take you through some of the stuff that's in the files? But only if you want to see it. Yeah? So these pictures, this evidence, we don't think it was looked at fully in the 1960s. So that's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
So that's the original one, that's on John Kilbride's grave. This picture was taken by a photographic officer. So you see the rocks? So they did a matching image. So this is before they'd found John. That's how they then thought, right, we need to search here. And do you recognise this?
Yeah. Pauline's.
Yeah.
Pauline's, because I put the flowers right there.
You put the flowers by those rocks?
Yeah.
So Myra Hindley's taking the picture. So she stood by Pauline's grave, isn't she?
Yeah.
And this one here, that's Pauline's grave in the background. So this is another one. I mean, it's very similar to the one on John Kilbride's grave, isn't it?
Even the dog, though, is still small, so it can't be that far apart.
Yeah. In the 1960s, there were loads of pictures taken around where Pauline was buried. But then the investigation hasn't chased every single angle down to do with the pictures. They stopped.
Why did they leave it, though? That's what I understand.
I don't know.
What's going through the heads? What's going through the minds?
They were securing the conviction, weren't they? So I think maybe they thought, oh, they're never coming out, that's it, job done.
Yeah, but it's not, though, is it? I mean, there's poor kids out there. They shouldn't have stopped. They shouldn't have stopped. I mean, they could have carried on, you know what I mean? Found me and Pauline and hopefully maybe Keith, you know what I mean? If they would have carried on early.
Yeah. It just jigsaws together to me as an injustice.
I was just crying and thinking about what had happened in my mind. And I kept thinking about it, and I couldn't sleep through thinking about it, and it built up, and I think that's what caused it, the nervous breakdown. Even now, I think about it every day. It's always there, always. I'm always worried about my nieces and nephews, you know, because it's happened to me and Polly. It could happen to them.
Runs through the generations.
Yeah,
it doesn't stop with the one act. It doesn't fade away. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
And this is one thing that really bothers me about this, and I think is really important, is pointing that out on what the consequences are for your family and for Keith's family. It's like you've been forgotten in it.
Yeah. Absolutely helpless. That's how I feel.
So what is it that you'd like to see now? What do you think?
Oh, thank you.
And if there's material that
what leads to him
can be looked at,
needs to be looked at. Shouldn't have to wait any longer. You know what I mean? For the answers, what we need. We've been waiting long enough.
Well, thank you for letting me show you material and talk through it with you. And I take the point about keeping you informed, so I'll make sure we do that.
All right, lovely.
And we'll speak again soon.
Yeah. You're self-driving.
Yeah, will do.
All right.
Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye. Bye.
Ta.
John, it's Duncan.
Duncan, hello.
You well?
I am, thank you. This is a surprise. What's afoot?
Moore's murders, which I've not been near for a very long time. I've come across the original case files from the 60s, particularly the work on the photographs is there. It raises all sorts of questions for me.
Oh, you think it's got the helpline Keith?
But I hope so. There's no point in looking at it unless it can advance things. So, you know, that's my purpose.
You're brilliant. Let's have a look at it.
Yeah, cheers, John. Bye. Bye. John and I have known each other for decades. He's the founding father of forensic archaeology, in other words, finding bodies for police forces. He really knows what he's doing, and I think it'd be really valuable to get his input on it.
So, is it looking like it is a grave?
Starting to smell a bit like one.
In a sense, I suppose what I have in common with him is a deep personal investment in the case. It matters to me to involve him.
It happened when I was young, and it gives a sort of uncomfortable feeling every time you think about it, because it takes you back to what you felt when you were 14, whatever it was when you heard it on the radio or saw it on the television. The sort of thing your parents warned you about, talking to strangers. So there's a sort of unconscious cloud, if you like, there all the time. Duncan likes to fly things past me. And when there's new information or he's seen something in the press to get an opinion, which is fair enough, that's what journalists do. Quite happy to help and support him because I know his motives are good. Well, we honestly thought we were going to find Keith.
This has got a lot going for it, because Brady could have gone along Shiny Brook, out of sight of her and everybody else, and there are two gullies, a shallow one there and a deeper one here. They've both got exposed peat in, and they're both possibilities.
It's probably my naivety or our naivety in going to where we did go, because we believed fully everything, or pretty much everything, that Brady and Hindley told us about where they buried Keith and where they took him.
Myra Hindley, she says that she followed them down the moor. They walked for quite a considerable way into the moor. Brady goes into this gully with the boy, and she says that she was instructed to be lookout. She said the boy was killed in this gully.
You know, we thought we had all the right gear, the right strategy, the right way of doing it. It's just one of those things, and it was very sad because Alan was there, Alan Bennett, Keith's brother.
I remember watching, you know, Alan sitting by Shiny Brook. His whole life has been marked by it, and I really felt for him.
The chance to see this through, to kind of finish and do everything that we possibly can, even if it doesn't result in success, just to try, that just feels like something that has to happen. Would it help you to see how the bodies were buried?
Yes, let's have a look at that.
Okay, so that's John Kilbride's grave.
Looking at it, it's only about 20 centimetres from the ground surface to the top of the body, isn't it? It's a relatively shallow grave.
Yeah.
So that's hurried.
And the location is incredibly risky, isn't it? Because it's so close to the road.
Yeah.
The cars are just there.
Cars are just there.
So
and
it's almost in plain sight.
Yeah.
So this is the map of Holland Brown Knoll that the police created in the 60s to show how the photos related to John and Leslie's graves. So all these letters and numbers relate to different photographs.
Can we see C7?
So that's C6 and C7.
C7 is looking across the road.
Towards grave of John Kilbride. So the John Kilbride's grave is in the background of that.
That's right.
This is Brady's shot.
Really?
Yeah. That's Leslie Ann Downey's grave. So whereas in the past you thought, oh, a marker picture has got to be Myra Hindley slap bang on the grave. Well, it's not there, is it? You know, it's far more sophisticated than that.
I think what we're looking at is to see if Brady had a system for mapping his graves that isn't particularly obvious. I was just wondering, looking at the pictures, they seem to point in two directions. One is the John Kilbride direction, and the other is the Leslie Ann Downey direction. We've got Pauline Reed along there too.
Some are on the graves, some are looking across graves, aren't they?
Yeah.
Is there just a chance that Keith Bennett is buried with all the other victims?
Possibly. It's very easy indeed to think along narrow lines because you've been doing it for so long. Now these images have come up to make me think quite fundamentally different, if Keith's body is there. It also mean that Brady and Hindley are complete liars, taking us to the wrong place.
Not exactly paragons of virtue, are they? I'm not sure whether Brady and Hindley were telling the truth about where they took Keith. John's focus is now firmly on Holland Brown Knoll, but Martin is asked to see all the evidence connected to Hoe Grain and Shiny Brook. So, Martin, in the 2000s, I wrote to her and she sent out a series of maps. First of all, a hand-drawn sketch, which is of the route she took with Ian Brady.
Yes.
She then detailed all in survey maps. This is the one time she said exactly where she was when Keith Bennett died. She's located herself very precisely on the moor by Hoe Grain and Shiny Brook. And here she's saying, I sat here when Keith was killed, but she's not saying where the body is.
No. Again, it's placing distance between her and what actually happened to the victims.
There's always an element of distancing.
Yeah.
These are the letters she wrote to me.
Yes.
Only place she dealt with the murders, other than in the confession to Topping, was in these letters. She wrote a really detailed narrative of the murders and her role in them. And this is her correspondence with her supporters.
I would say that whatever she had done, she would be entitled to be considered for parole. Everybody should be considered after 10 years, and she's been in prison now nearer 12 than 11.
There's a real chance she was going to get out. And that's why Ian Brady in the mid-80s said that there were 5 victims. And it was only at that point that she then chose to confess. That was more likely to help her than continuing to lie. This is all about getting out of prison. Get me out, get me out. I feel in all this stuff they're shaping, everything's got to be taken with a pinch of salt.
Yes.
I can't remember what prison he was in at the time. He said he could sense from my letters that I was drifting away from him. He wrote, "What slogan do you have around your neck today?" And really nasty, hurtful things, until I finally decided that he'd begun to hate me. So I wrote my last letter to him.
The relationship appeared to end in the early 70s.
Yes.
I don't know for sure whether there was any contact afterwards or not.
Could they have communicated between each other and conspired to lead the police investigation to Hoe Grain and Shiny Brook?
Police have moved to a different part of Saddleworth Moor in their search for victims of the Moors murderers. Now they're going to concentrate on an area 1.5 miles away at Shiny Brook.
The part of the moor where they think 12-year-old Keith Bennett is buried.
The one thing that perhaps gives the team the most satisfaction is the hope that it will bring some peace to the family.
Chief Superintendent Peter Topping, the head of Manchester CID, decided to reopen the Moors investigation. Some said he was wasting his time. Mr. Topping said, "God help us when we come to the day when we don't investigate murder."
Hindley led the police to areas she and Brady visited more than 20 years ago. Her visit has changed the direction of the police search.
They both take Topping independently to an area of Saddleworth Moor not previously relevant.
The group was seen making for Shiny Brook.
The visit was worthwhile and well justified, but he's not pointed to a spot in the ground where I'm going to find a body.
And James Anderton, the Chief Constable, pulled the plug on it. I think he's worried about it going on forever, the same way the plug was pulled back in the 60s.
We know that the information that Hindley did give to Peter Topping did directly lead to Pauline Reed's body being found.
Yes, so you think, oh, she helped find Pauline Reed, so she definitely want Keith Bennett to be found.
I mean, the real dilemma now is trying to work out at what point who told the truth. You've got all of this unique material that Myra Hindley has given you. The missing part for me is where is Ian Brady's material? There is still a lot to do. It's a shame that we're 60 years down the line in doing it, but we'll keep going, we'll keep exploring these areas.
Hello, Duncan.
Hello, John. Good to see you.
Horrible weather. Come in, come in.
So we've got two areas that need to be looked at. There's Hollin Brown Knoll, and then over here we've got the Hograin and Shiny Brook area. What could be a possible burial site for Keith?
I spent so long since the 1990s looking in the Shiny Brook, Hograin area on the basis of what Brady and Hindley has said. I think that Keith is not in that particular area. So the next obvious step is to move towards the Hollin Brown Knoll area where the other three bodies are. And the evidence for this direction is a number of photographs taken by Hindley and Brady. The position that Hindley takes on this rock is focal to pretty much everything they've done. So from there, you can circle around. That is their homicide domain. It's where they've murdered and buried people. I'd like to think that if that was the case, then Keith was in that area too. And that's a far cry from what I was thinking 15 years ago.
It might take me 15 years to get there as well, John.
Come on, tell me what you can do that I haven't done.
Okay. So my working hypothesis at the moment is taking that marker there, where Myra's sat and where she's indicated.
Where she says she sat?
Yes, of course, and we can only go on what she said. It's either maintaining a lie or it's consistent truth, and you have to take a leap of faith. Myra Hindley significantly, when she went down Hograin, pointed Peter Topping and told him that she'd gone up onto the plateau near to the waterfall on Shiny Brook.
The police have searched a lot close to the waterfall because there are several pictures of Myra in that area.
For me, despite the fact that John and Peter Topping's team and various other search teams over the years have really gone to town on searching Shiny Brook and Hograin and the excavations there, there is still some areas of interest that we need to eliminate. Myra Hindley's consistent account is that she sat on slightly higher ground up on the plateau there.
She's been very precise about where she is.
Yeah.
The most significant thing is that throughout Myra Hindley's accounts of all of the murders, she always puts herself just away from the murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the biggest anomaly is the first account she gives to Peter Topping, and that is that Brady and Keith were only 25 to 30 yards away. just into a dip, just out of sight. So she's now putting them back here where she's saying she sat. It's so close to the other areas they searched, but for me, I'd have gone back to where Myra Hindley said she was sitting, and I'd have worked from there outwards.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the plan then from here?
I think we should go to Shiny Brook, look at the ground as well, and look at it through their eyes, you know, stand back on that same piece of land.
Getting as close as possible to that X marks the spot that she drew on the map.
Yes. Retrace the steps that Brady and Hindley said that they led Keith on the night he disappeared.
John doesn't think Keith is in Shiny Brook, but he's agreed to help Martin look in that area. You ready for this, John?
No. I hate it. I hate you.
You hate me?
Yes.
That's not very nice, John.
When I was asked to come back, my mind was filled with horror. You know, this is not a place I like.
The vegetation's completely changed.
Yeah. The terrain is unforgiving. It's like walking through snow or thick mud. It's very tiring. You have to watch your feet all the time.
When you stand up here, you can't help but think about Keith. He enjoyed playing football, enjoyed playing with his siblings. And I find myself thinking about his last journey when he walked onto the moors with Hindley and Brady and never came out.
He would have been stumbling and falling, getting more and more anxious, more anxiety, probably not wanting to go any further and asking a lot of questions, particularly when the ruse is we're looking for a lost glove that we've left on the moor, having been up there earlier.
The story she gave and the map that she drew tells us that they parked on the road there by the lay-by, and they walked him down here.
Yeah.
They zigzagged across the stream. There was a track there. You could do that.
Yeah.
We've always assumed the plateau was on that side, and I think it's fair to say that it is.
Yeah.
After what seemed ages, I saw him turn round and point up the bank, and I immediately made my way to the top, looked around me, but could see nobody, not even Ian and the child.
See Hoe Grain and the main road up here.
Yeah. And that's Shiny Brook.
Yeah, Shiny Brook there.
She's put herself higher up,
yeah,
on the higher ground.
And just up above the ferns is the higher ground.
Thinking about it, if she's on the slightly higher bit, then she's got sight back to the road, and he's got cover by being a bit lower.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the significant things that both Brady and Hindley say, they scanned the horizon with the binoculars, and they did that with Pauline Reed. They used the binoculars to cover the ground to make sure they weren't being observed. So that kind of resonates with maybe being just sort of a little bit higher in that area there. Wow.
As far as I know, no one has done a really methodical search of that plateau. There's certainly no record of it.
Yeah.
Which, looking at it now, it just seems so kind of blindingly obvious that somebody should have a go at that, and at least, if nothing else, then eliminate it.
The plateau was quite exposed. It was the exposure that was the main reason that we rejected that as a possibility.
You know, Hindley's saying, I'm sat there just out of sight. Is that the area that's of more significance now?
I'm cemented that the area that we haven't searched previously is that plateau.
I wasn't planning ever to come back again, but somehow it draws one along. You know, a bit like a terrier, I've got my teeth into this and I don't want to let it go. trying to think, well, where can he be, where can't he be, what evidence is there for this, what evidence is there for that. So I don't want to give up on Keith or his brother, Alan, and at the same time, I don't want Brady to get away with it, and I think that's very much a driving force. If we can work out the way he was thinking, gain an insight into his trickery of his little Machiavellian mind, then maybe that'll be a way to find Keith.
It's been an education for me. I've known the bastard for years. You're a marvellous brain. I mean, he's often called the most evil man on earth. Psychopath.
We've been able to track down Dr. Alan Keatley's widow, Joan. She has access to all of the material that Alan accumulated in relation to Ian Brady, letters and books and interviews. I think she's nervous about being identified and linked to Ian Brady. She doesn't want her face to be seen. We're incredibly grateful to you, Joan, for allowing us access to this material.
Six big boxes. Well, they came in a big white van with AH painted on the roof. Came from Ashworth Hospital. These lists were in the 6 boxes that came, and I managed to tick off the ones that I've found so far. Must be thousands, all different subjects.
Can I speak to Jade Ward, please?
Yeah, it was called.
It's Dr. Keithley.
Thank you.
Hello? Hello, Ian? All right, all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are recordings.
Recorded telephone
Yeah.
conversations.
Okay, so the recorded conversations of Brady and Alan.
That's right.
If you can get anywhere, second-hand or otherwise, any book on criminal psychology, criminal or abnormal psychology. Yeah, well, lots of those about these days.
He and Brady had read a lot of the same books, so they could always have intelligent conversations.
Yeah.
Alan enjoyed the discussions. Well, they trusted each other, but Alan couldn't condone what he'd done. There was always that in the background.
The first victim was Pauline Reed, who was a girl on her way to a dance.
Alan was head of religious studies at the Sixth Form College, and Alan wanted to do a course on evil. And so he thought of the most notorious murder case was the Moors murders. And that was how it all started, with letters, and then the visits started.
Can I speak to the lodge on the Eastgate, please? Please, yeah.
Hello?
Hello, I wonder if you could make a note of a visit this coming Sunday, please?
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Keithley.
Yes.
To see Ian Brady. I'll be there about 2 o'clock.
Okay, doctor. Thank you. Bye.
I think he visited every 3 weeks. He was there for hours.
Did Alan ever say what he hoped to get out of that engagement with Brady at that point in time, what his motivation was, Joan?
Alan really wanted to find out what really had influenced him.
Yeah.
The psychology behind it, really.
And he writes there, magnificent, so he agrees with something that's been written there. It's worthwhile just spending some time going through everything that he's had his hands on. So this has come from Brady, from his cell.
Yes.
He's reading about de Sade, Dostoevsky, Kafka, Proust, these drivers behind his imagination and his actions. I can see already that there's some notations there. He could speak German and understood German. Newman Ward, Ashworth.
I've got your tobacco and everything else. Ring me if you want anything.
No, not at the moment.
Yeah, ring me if you want anything.
Right.
We went on holiday, took all these books. All Alan wanted to do was read. I didn't say very much to friends or some members of the family. I think because they thought of him as an evil person.
I wonder if they're Brady's famous dark glasses.
I think there must be. Alan didn't have any.
If you ever write more books, you can use my letters freely. Brady's letter to AK, 11th of March 2010. Why don't you write a book yourself, then trawl through the seedy false inventions of others?
He wouldn't have done that to any psychologist or policeman or investigator. He trusted him.
And these are various of Brady's letters to Alan. His very distinctive handwriting. Once you see it, you don't forget it.
So I think that was when Alan started to keep the records and write the book, which was only to be published after Brady's death.
Was there any other conversation in those, Joan?
Well, I don't know.
Okay,
I
so
haven't heard them.
we'd need to listen to them.
Oh, you'd need to listen to them.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
if you were happy for us to take his way, we'll take
Yes,
his way and listen to
take
them, and we'll see
Listen.
what's on there then.
The only thing I'm allowed now is a fucking electronic typewriter.
Oh, yeah.
You remember the one I sold to you?
Yeah.
But I didn't keep the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Pathetic. And I certainly don't want those personal files to get into the wrong fucking hands.
You get no bullshit with Brady. If you're a policeman, if you're a journalist, you had no hope at all. The only way you could get him to talk about the real shit was to be part of his intimate compartment.
First of all, I've got the MS.
The MS?
Yeah. So that's manuscript. Oh, fuck me.
This is the first time where we've got an indication there might actually be something written down that describes where and how Keith was killed. The stuff in his hand, his words, actually written by Ian Brady, is the evidence there.
In October 1965, Saddleworth Moor suddenly became a grisly household name. The victims, it was rumored, were all young children, all of whom had disappeared from the Manchester area.
5 murdered children. Edward Evans, Leslie Ann Downey, John Kilbride, Pauline Reed, and Keith Bennett. And at the heart of the case, a couple who killed them.
Pressmen, cameramen, sightseers all converged as the police began one of the most extensive murder searches in history.
People think, oh, the Moors murders. I know what the Moors murders are. It's all in the past. Myra Hindley and Ian Brady are dead. The thing's done and dusted. But if you look at it, the case isn't closed.
How on earth have you got your hands on these?
There have been so many missed opportunities with this story, and we can't let this be another one.
Hopefully, some new evidence will come to light. It's got to be.
You know, rather than sending a fucking manuscript to these people, you never know where it'll fucking end up.
You're going to have to declare this to the police.
Brady, who, along with Myra Hindley, tortured and killed 5 children, died at Ashworth Hospital at the age of 79.
A coroner has ruled that the Moors murderer, Ian Brady, died of heart failure.
Duncan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Nicky.
In the course of your book, did you get the chance to meet him?
No, I didn't meet Brady, but what I did do is I had lengthy correspondence with Hindley, and she wrote her life story for me. He frankly rings around everybody, so that's the police, the media, and family of the victims. And I think that's something we can draw a lesson from.
Ian Brady has been allowed to maintain control of this story, even in death.
Brady asked for locked suitcases to be removed from his cell in the hours before he died.
They were handed over to the solicitor, who's also the executor of Ian Brady's will. It raises questions, of course, about whether they contain any information about the whereabouts of Keith Bennett.
He's left us with a very big mystery.
Brady knew exactly what he was doing. It's absolute madness that the police haven't been able to look inside the suitcases. But there is other material that Ian Brady left behind. We've got a garage full of it from his biographer, Dr. Alan Keithley.
So this is larger contents of his cell.
It's incredible that we've got access to this material.
Martin and I now have an opportunity to go through Ian Brady's material, to interrogate his way of thinking, and see if there are any clues that might help find Keith.
We've got pretty much his whole music collection here, and a real eclectic mix of German marching songs, classical music. You know, we've got Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs there.
I'm a bit more surprised by his interest in Disney.
We've got Tube I haven't even opened yet.
I can smell his tobacco as we unroll it. I can smell.
Yeah.
I can smell the cell.
Yes. This is all about the media continuing this. You know, when that messaging is there, the media made them superstars.
Yes, and the man and the woman, the
Very
fatal
true.
alliance. He's living in the past. It really matters to him.
Yeah.
Which tells you that the murders matter to him, and possession of Keith Bennett matters to him, and he views himself as a superstar.
Pretty disturbing, really.
Hello, Ian.
Yeah.
All right. Was the tobacco okay? The Condor?
The Condor's stronger, of course, but with the French in it, it gives a different flavour.
Yeah. See, there's another story about the Downey grave, digging her up and putting us elsewhere.
Yeah?
Yeah. People writing free Myra on it, so they're going to bury her where no one can do it, you know.
I see.
I'll send it if you want it, but if you don't want it...
Yeah, send it. I like to keep up to date.
Should we see what we got here?
Yeah.
Ian Brady's copy of my book.
I don't think it is, actually. These are some of the...
Alan
yeah,
used.
these are Alan's research books.
Yeah. There's a few squiggly lines under here.
A few mixed up ones, but
And
some of
actually,
these
yeah,
are...
we'll put this one back because it's hardly been opened.
That is probably Brady's copy.
The Lost Boy Reviews, Ian Brady's commentary on my book. Intrigued by that, so let's have a look. Tab 3. Oh yeah. What photographs I possessed of childhood family and friends were purloined by sanctimonious deceit and false pretense, practiced by a BBC reporter, Duncan Staff. I don't think he liked the fact that I had his pictures very much. And I know it upset him because he tried to sue me for having got hold of his pictures. It really, really bugged him.
You were clearly getting information out of Hindley that he didn't want in the public domain.
And he didn't like that because also, you know, he's lost control. He's lost control of the narrative. He's lost control of what Myra Hindley is saying. So this is the autobiography of Detective Chief Superintendent Peter Topping, who led the investigation into trying to find Pauline Reade and Keith Bennett's body in the mid-80s, outlining what they both said to him. And this is the copy that was in Ian Brady's cell.
A senior detective retires from the force and soon after produces a book full of fascinating detail about the major crimes he's helped to solve.
What I've done is I've given an account which I think the public should hear as to what Brady and Hindley were about when they committed those notorious crimes on Saddleworth Moor.
Wherever Hindley makes some kind of confession or gives part of an account to Peter Topping, Brady writes in his own hand in the margins.
Well, that's extraordinary. So this is his comments on the police investigation and also on Myra Hindley's account.
She was so close to Keith Bennett at the time of his death, yet she says she heard nothing. That could be so, but the moor's a quiet place apart from the wind and the noise of water. There is nothing else. Sounds carry well. Even if the boy did not cry out, she should have been able to hear any normal conversation he had with Brady. I particularly questioned her about it, but she denied hearing anything. And Brady writes, "You could not keep her away, she enjoyed it." He's clearly saying that she was part, hands-on, Keith Bennett's murder. That's the first time we've had a direct contradiction of that account.
And that means she was at the burial site?
Absolutely, she would have known exactly where Keith was buried. And she says in Topping's book, in one of the paragraphs, that she was 25 to 30 yards away. If you're 25, 30 yards away and a small child is being murdered, tortured, you know, sexually abused, and then a burial, how can you not hear and see that?
On a quiet, sunny summer's evening.
You know, was this because Myra Hindley was, in inverted commas, confessing, but still then pushing the blame to Brady? And he's having none of that.
Yeah, as far as he's concerned, no one's ever going to see this.
No. And the book is, you know, is absolutely full of contradictions and challenges, you know, by Brady against Hindley's accounts. You know, lies, liar. You know, for me, the clue was on the page. If Hindley was involved in the murders, as Brady suggests, could it mean that Keith is buried closer to where Myra Hindley said she was sat? If that's so, it strengthens my interest to really explore the plateau area above Shiny Brook, because that's where I think Keith is buried.
What's interesting is how evidence shifts over time. So Myra Hindley sent me 3 maps in the early noughties. Now look at them completely differently when you overlay them with the information that's come from Brady. We're on the plateau above the 2 streams where Myra Hindley said she climbed up. And that GPS marker there shows exactly where we are. So you can see that we're in a very similar position now, live with that GPS marker to where she's put herself on the Ordnance Survey map.
Today we're using 3D scanning equipment to create a digital image of the area. This will allow me to have a bird's eye view of the landscape where Myra Hindley said she sat and be able to look at that land in a completely different way. Myra Hindley says that she sat just beyond here on the top of that hill and looking down where she says there was a drop-off and that Ian Brady and Keith Bennett went down there. You know, we could be standing 2 meters away from Keith's burial site. We can't see that because of the grasses, but this will give us almost a bird's eye view of that.
If there's anything you can do to get peace and find him, put him to rest, I mean, it'd be great if we could do something to help.
We can just make out the top of your tripod there, which we think is spot on
on the GPS positioning of the map that Myra Hindley drew back in the early 2000s. I think this area here, you know, to a certain point over there and up through here is probably really where I want to concentrate. We need to bring modern day technology as best we can to a case that's now 60 years old.
But I don't think they've done enough. Keith was an angel. Do anything for anybody. No matter who it is, bad or good, he'd do it. Why can't they find him like they try to find other kids? It's not fair.
What struck me about this case is the lack of accountability, how no one can be held responsible, because police today can say, oh, well, those decisions were taken back in the 60s, it's nothing to do with me, therefore I don't need to do anything. But for the families, there's this constant enduring pain.
I think all of them are still impacted by the fact that Keith is still missing, no matter which family it is, because they're all intertwined and you can't divorce their stories.
When I look at the photographs, it hurts so much. Of course, I always see it that way, but now it's changed. Where I see her, it's not nice. Police called me about my Auntie Pauline, 2017. Just turned around and said, we stumbled over some evidence of your Auntie Pauline's. So I thought, oh yeah, it's a dress and the necklace. And so I said, is it the necklace? And because Nana always wanted the necklace back. And he said, no, we stumbled over a jawbone, a mouth. I just couldn't believe it. So he really passed away. Then that was it. Oh, he's passed away. Oh, we're bringing it back out now. We're stir things back up again now. Giving more publicity, you know what I mean? And he got control again. And I thought it was just like, you know, the bottom bit, but it was the top and bottom, all the way. There's no need at all. And they couldn't explain why they took it off. Couldn't explain why they didn't tell me, Nana. I don't see me Auntie Pauline now in the way I should do. Even saying her name, I get a fidgeting off her, just standing there with no mouth. It was just awful. I mean, the way we've been treated, you know what I mean? It's just diabolical, it's horrendous. Still feel the same pain.
It's a social issue as much as a criminal issue. And I think maybe this case is still languishing in the old school, whereby it didn't really matter, when actually it does. And there are still families out there who need a little bit of support.
Let's keep moving, let's keep trying, let's keep going forward. Let's keep eliminating where Keith isn't, even if we can't find him. I know Martin is concentrating in Shiny Brook, Hoggrain area. I'm now more interested in the Holland Brown Knoll area because that's where the existing known bodies have been found. And I think that's worth exploring a little bit more. I think we need to get to the bottom of Brady's photographs from the case files. Could do with a drone, couldn't we?
Yeah.
A drone will help us to identify where the photographs are taken from. I think it would be useful to identify the photographs that are pointing to known graves and photographs that, as far as we know, aren't pointing to any graves at all.
You've got this interconnected network of images in Holland Brown Knoll. It's a riddle, so it's making sense of what do these images mean, and can it tell us anything about how Brady operated, and really, can it tell us where Keith Bennett's buried?
What we really want to try and do is identify exactly where they are on the ground, what they're looking at.
There's one there that really bugs me. It's one labelled X140. It's so similar to this one, and this is a known grave marker. This is the picture taken on John Kilbride's grave. You look at the way she's dressed there and holding the puppy and looking at the ground. Same here.
Yep.
Similar clothing, holding a puppy inside her coat. And here's the police officer's matching image, really carefully taken. And it shows that her body is obscuring this gas marker.
Yep.
It's troubling, isn't it?
It is.
And it really just raises questions, you know, what is he hiding? What's going on in the background?
I wonder, is it too much to think that this concrete gas pipe marker could actually mark a grave?
Hello, Jeff.
Yeah, my God, it's a long time since we were last met, right?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Jeff was one of the officers in the 80s. He was actually inside the investigation, worked on the case for months, and it'd be really important to hear what he's got to say.
I asked, why did you not pursue all this at the time? I raised it with Arthur Benfield, the former Detective Chief Superintendent, who was the overall head of the inquiry in the 1965 investigation. He talked about the gas pipeline. There was a thought that these two children could have been disposed of within the trench of the pipeline, and that inquiries they made would suggest that it was far too expensive to re-excavate it and check.
Right.
And I think a decision was taken at some level within the service or the Home Office or somewhere to say enough is enough. You know, these two people have been convicted of 3 murders. They've been sentenced to life imprisonment. The likelihood of them ever being released is remote indeed. I don't want to criticise former colleagues too much. Well, it's all well and good if it's not your children who are missing or your family involved in it.
It's certainly wrong in terms of supporting family and giving them, you know, the best opportunity to achieve closure. And I understand that doing all of these things are expensive, but that's not a reason not to do it.
They could have raised money, they could have done something. There's no need for them to stop searching.
It must have been very hard for the detectives on the case to know the job hadn't been completely done.
There were concerns. Interesting factor that is probably not common knowledge is that Joe Mounsey went back to Saddleworth Moor. He was searching for the 2 missing children, and he had no permission to do it, despite the fact that they'd clearly been told by somebody that this wasn't going to be pursued, but he went and did it anyway.
Demonstrating that these people cared about what they were doing.
Absolutely.
The problem is, I don't think the police fully understood what Brady was up to or the games he was playing. Brady didn't do anything that wasn't carefully planned. We need to be looking for the rock that she's standing on. You really need some form of terrain model that would show us the various landmarks that Brady is picking up.
Yeah. And then match the pictures to the drone footage.
And of course, the drone will give us the opportunity to upgrade the map that the police produced in the 1960s, which was no more than the blown-up early edition Ordnance Survey map. We can take this all a little bit further to see if we can pinpoint any graves that may have been missed. You can't map this terrain on the ground by foot, it's just impossible. The only way to do it really is taking aerial images. Over there behind me on the horizon, it's Hollinbrown Knoll. There's a big area that the drone's going to fly. It's private land, we're not on it, but the drone is flying over it. And we have permission from the landowner.
Exposure, is that okay?
It's going backwards and forwards and continuously taking images until the whole area is being covered. Those images can then be sewn together, and that'll give us a good high-resolution picture of the land, the individual rocks on it, and also the points, I hope, that we can see on the photographs. I'm quite optimistic about this.
We took 4,500 shots on the last one.
It just enables us to look at the landscape rather like a computer game, look at points on it, and fly through it.
Wow, it's
very good on the rocks, isn't it? I mean, look at the detail of those rocks there.
What we've done, we've taken the 4,000 photos of this area that we took. We've made a model from that, and on that model, we've plotted the known grave sites of the 3 graves in this area: John Kilbride, Leslie Ann Downing, and Pauline Reed there. We've then taken the other photos that we have of the area, put where they are on the map, and then also the direction in which those photos were taken.
These photographs, we believe, are significant in the fact they're not taken randomly, they're taken very specifically. They're either pointing towards graves or they're on graves. This first photograph is a picture of Myra Hindley, famous picture of her stooping over John Kilbride's grave, and over the top there you've got the 2 girls' graves, Pauline Reed and Leslie Ann Downing.
So, clearly visible in the background behind Hindley in that photograph.
Yeah. In this photograph, we've got their car on the roadside here, and a very characteristic set of rocks here, and over the top of those are the graves of the 2 girls.
So in looking for other graves, how is that knowledge useful?
Well, it shows that there isn't X marks the spot on here. It's in the general vista. So they can be up close like Hindley on a grave, or they could be quite a distance away in the photograph. Can we get X140? The first photograph shows Hindley standing on a rock. It's quite a specific rock. She's obscuring a gas marker on the gas pipeline. I'm curious to know what he's doing, what he's trying to photograph.
Okay, so this is the gas marker here, and Brady stood here and Hindley stood on this rock here. So we've got this alignment. This is this red line.
Does it in any way link to existing graves?
There's no graves, no known graves in the background of that. The girls are located to the right of this photo.
So there's no link between that photo and those graves?
We don't believe so.
Do you think that could just be accidental?
Not at all, not at all.
So the gas marker itself doesn't look like this anymore. It looks different, but it is in the same location.
Right.
I mean, it's crying out to be looked at.
And it's not hard to work out why the police wanted to excavate in that area in the 1960s.
I can understand that fully. And I can understand, too, their anger, probably, when they were told they had to stand down because the money had run out. If you have a gas pipeline, you have a loose soil, and it's easy to bury someone in it.
Which obviously raises serious questions. It needs to be examined.
We know how important photographs are to Brady through John's work on Holling Brown Knoll. What I want to see now is whether that can tell me anything about the area I'm interested in from the photographs taken in Shiny Brook.
So we have her position on the top of the plateau and the position of the waterfall.
What's significant for us is that we've got a series of photographs where Myra Hindley is stood in Shiny Brook by the waterfall, and one at the top of the waterfall with her back to the moors.
And that's quite a tall waterfall. He'd have definitely had to have physically climbed up.
Yeah, and Brady was very clever at how he took the photographs. When you look at that photograph, it leads us directly in line of sight to where Myra Hindley was sat on top of the plateau. Is that a direct marker line to the plateau there? You know, is that the clue? We've got to get back and fully explore this area and test the waterfall photographs.
Here we are.
I know he's on them moors, but them moors are a hell of a big place. It could be anywhere. And Brady and Hindley was dead smart over that when they buried him.
So if I go down there and look at the photograph and then look which bit of this ridge is by her body.
Yep.
And then I can radio.
Yeah, we can just do a line of sight.
All right.
Right, brilliant.
See you in a bit.
Okay. We know that Keith had very poor vision. He broke his glasses before he went missing, so he wasn't wearing one that day.
He went to the baths on High Street and he come back without the glass, so I said I'd get it fixed, but I didn't get the chance and he scratched it there as well, and he must have fell when he, broke him. It's the only thing I've got of him now.
Hi, Duncan.
I'm down at the waterfall.
So there's the waterfall behind me. Pretty sure it's on where Myra Hindley sat. Looking at the landscape there, the shape of it matches the photograph.
I'm at the point where Brady jumped into and I can see you skyline.
I'm standing in the exact spot that she drew on the map as near as we can plot on a GPS.
It lines up perfectly with where you're standing.
behind me there is where Ian Brady stood to take the picture.
Brady must have climbed up onto the slope on the opposite bank to get that line of sight. So it's a deliberate lining up of her.
From that spot, he was able to see the plateau.
So his frame's in the background.
And that was exactly where Myra Hindley was sitting. So it lines up. He's used the skyline.
So this area now where we're standing it cements the significance of that. Now we've carried out that exercise, that we're in the right area here.
Surely the right thing to do is to do the job properly, and for the job actually to be done by the police.
Yeah.
So we've got the lost case files, and the photos in the lost case files, showing that it's not just flat bang on top of a grave, it's the background. And we've got the photos down there that show the plateau up there as the background. We've got Myra Hindley putting herself on the plateau, and then in her interviews with Peter Topping, she said that Peter's buried within 30 yards of exactly where she sat. And we've got Brady saying that she was slap bang where the murder took place. You know, there's enough there now, you think. It's just got to be done properly.
All the information we've got, the work we've done, the use of the drone, the landscape analysis, I think we've got enough to go to the police, sufficiently to, I hope, enable them to take this all further.
I believe the police should search the areas that Martin and John have identified, and we're going to hand all the evidence over to them. But deep down, I don't think they're likely to search where that X marks the spot.
Hopefully, some new evidence will come to light. A clue for Keith or whatever. It's got to be. You can't just disappear without a trace. There's got to be a trace somewhere.
But until there's more evidence, the police keep saying no, no. Where's all the evidence going to come from, apart from Ian Brady? It's only him. He's got that ace card, knowing exactly where Keith is.
You get no bullshit with Brady. If you're a policeman, if you're a journalist, you had no hope at all. The only way you could get him to talk about the real shit was to be part of his intimate compartment.
First of all, I've got the MS. MS.
The MS?
Yeah. So that's manuscript. Oh, fuck me. That's MS.
I'm going through Ian Brady's material, which his biographer, Alan Keithley, collected over decades, and which his widow, Joan, has given us access to. There seems to be a document here called Black Light. It looks like Ian Brady's written an autobiography. The real answer as to why I'm now writing is quite simple: to reveal the full facts of the case for the first time ever. In this book you're reading, every jot and expression is mine. All or any faults and offences you find in the following pages bear the authenticity of my own hand and cannot be disowned. What is laid out at the start is an emphasis on facts and on this being factually accurate. I really want to see what Ian Brady's written in his own words. Rather than simply vegetate, we've discussed all that, kiddo. So now it's time to roll the dice for maximum states. The game commences. Hide and seek, ready or not, or did you think the time would never come? That it was all simply an academic exercise? Perhaps you still do. If so, gaze at my eyes and believe what you see there, kiddo. Death brought to life. Can you feel and hear the blood pumping? Will you race with it or against it? It's your choice. More wine. I'm parched. Myra recharged the glasses. I'm with you, of course. She approached. I knew it wasn't just talk. I could tell. It was obvious. I was just waiting for the go sign. I've no hesitation, kiddo. That means they're ready to kill. We sped on the bike towards Saddleworth Moor. The hot weather had dried up some of the streams, their flat rock beds as convenient as pavements. Finally, we rested on sheep-cropped grass. Perfect, wouldn't you say, kiddo? You mean use this actual spot? Myra asked lazily. No, there's 90-odd square miles like this. We need a spot where a parked car won't attract attention. Tomorrow, we would not only divert police attention from Gorton, but the assassination would also divert public attention from us. It's an ill wind. The changing year's progressive plan proclaims mortality to man. Horace. Where's the rest of it? So what we've got here is up to page 394 of Ian Brady's autobiography, Black Light. But we know from his biographer, Dr. Alan Keatley's notes, that there are 600 pages. That means there's 200 missing. Call Martin Slevin.
Calling Martin Slevin.
Hi, Joan. So, Martin, what I've been going through is material we've got from Joan Keathley.
Yeah.
There's this typed autobiography written by Ian Brady called Black Light, detailed narrative, time-based account of Brady's life.
Yeah.
It's the only time where I've not seen him playing a game.
Well, that's amazing.
It deals with his childhood, he gets to Manchester, and then it leaps to him being in the relationship with Myra Hindley and then planning the murder of Pauline Reed. And then you have Pauline Reed's murder.
It's incredible that exists.
Frustratingly, the rest of it is missing. This stops the night before John Kilbride's murder.
Unbelievable.
You know, in my mind, nagging away is, where's the rest of this?
Yeah.
Does that exist somewhere in relation to Keith Bennett?
Well, I would be amazed if that's where this stops.
It's interesting when he talks about the murder of Pauline, the way he describes Myra Hindley's involvement. The more detail someone puts in, it just feels less like they're lying.
Yes, I think you're right.
I mean, this is the first time where we've got an indication there might actually be something written down that describes where and how Keith was killed.
For some reason, those pages have gone missing. There must be more of it.
You know, there clearly is a gap here. And it's not some narrative error. This is a guy who's written really clearly up to that point, and then suddenly there's a big gap. You know, you stand in that moor, you look at the vast landscape, and you think, oh my God, how are we ever going to find him? And you know, whatever evidence, however analytical about it, you think, oh, I think, God, you know, how do you make this work? But then when you think he might have actually described what happened with Keith Bennett, well, it changes things completely, doesn't it? I really, really want to know where the rest of this manuscript is. Is the evidence there?
As I neared the knoll, I cut deeper onto the moor, making for the pre-arranged spot where we would be invisible from the road. The black light began to operate.
The black light comes from the moment of killing. It descended on him, a black light. But it was like a spiritual experience for him. It's a time-based narrative account of his development from babyhood through to the man who's able to carry out the Moors murders.
He talks about how he selected the murder site for Pauline Reed and how he really cased out whether he could be seen by the traffic, the lines of sight, and then moved a very short distance from there and found a position where he couldn't then be seen, but could also observe the landscape. The use of binoculars to make sure that nobody else could see them.
It says, a deathscape made to measure. Mara concurred.
It took only a short time to excavate the soft peat to a depth of 4 feet. We counted the paces back to a rock on the knoll in order to be able to find the site and photograph it at a future date. That detail I've not read anywhere else before.
That's extraordinary.
You've got the description of Pauline there, but the pages to do with Keith are missing.
It ends at page 394, but that only takes us up to the start of the second murder.
So where's the rest of it?
I got your envelopes and everything else, and tobacco and everything. Yeah. Is there anything else?
If you bring out, you know, those, what mention the other thing on it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So one of the most significant things we found amongst Alan's papers is an autobiography by Ian Brady. Critically, there are details in there of the first murder.
A real detailed description of Pauline Reed's murder and how they chose the sites and how they, you know, made sure they couldn't be seen from the road and the traffic. But it does stop at critical points.
The question in our mind is there something like that for Keith Bennett? So it's a massive breakthrough.
This autobiography, Brady referred to as Blacklight.
Oh, right.
As far as we can tell, this is Alan's copy.
Oh, yes.
So this ends at page 394.
It's so incredibly frustrating because if the detail is there for Keith Bennett in the same way as it was for Pauline Reed, you've almost got an X marks the spot.
It's hugely important information that we need to try and access somehow.
Do you remember Alan talking about Blacklight to you?
Yes, I remember. Yes, he did talk about it.
What
I didn't know whether it was in connection with Brady or in the next book that Alan was writing. I wasn't quite sure, but I definitely remember him talking about it. Alan had to get it out of Ashworth Hospital.
Right.
In a carrier bag, I suppose. But they weren't very good on security of items coming in and out.
It's not going to draw attention, is it? It was in a carrier bag. And,
well, absolutely, yeah.
And the question in our mind now is, where's the rest of it?
Well, nothing left in the house.
Nothing left, yeah.
No,
So that's...
I've double-checked.
You haven't got anything left, it's all gone.
Yes, and there's nothing left.
So did Alan have any contact with the police? Because he had all this material, it's obviously invaluable. Did he see them, talk to them?
2 police women came unannounced, and Alan told them what he knew. Haven't heard from the police since.
Did the police actually look at any of the documents, read any of the material, for example, Blacklight?
No, they just stayed in this room, didn't go upstairs into the study.
And you had no subsequent requests from the police to have access to the material?
Nothing at all, no.
And these officers had been working on the re-investigation in the sort of early mid-2000s, I think it was. And so it's incredibly surprising they didn't ask the right questions. You know, had this been a full copy, and to let it slip through their fingers by not asking the right questions, for me is, you know, is almost unforgivable.
They didn't look at anything.
We need to know whether there's other copies out there and you know, how we can access them. Was Alan in touch with any of Brady's solicitors?
Only by letter. As far as I know, there were no telephone conversations.
So you can recall there was correspondence between them over the years?
I'm not supposed to be fucking phoning you, you know.
Oh, right.
I'm supposed to be phoning the solicitor.
Okay.
But I phoned both of them and no consent. I might as well fucking hold a seance to try and contact intelligent fucking life.
Yeah.
You see, I'm getting these letters through my solicitors, but you're replying back openly, and all my fucking letters are censored.
Yeah.
So by replying back that about the autobiography and fucking getting it from Bernberg, these cunts here now know that fact.
Yeah.
So if the fucking police wanted to get their hands on that fucking thing, they could use fucking threats on you, but they couldn't use it on Bernberg.
Yeah.
That's really concerning, isn't it? Because he's saying he's got an autobiography, what happened during the Moors murders, that's lodged with his solicitor, Benedict Bernberg. It could be that an explanation as to where Keith Bennett is locked away in the solicitor's office.
There could be a really accurate description of exactly where Keith is buried. That's a really
big
clear
thing. It's it's something small. You know what I mean? It's a major. I can't believe it. I'm shocked that he written it, but now it surprises me. We know how his mind works now. He's dead crafty, sneaky. It's Ian Brady's last words, you know what I mean, to say what's gone on.
Yeah.
He's in control. Yeah, he just wants that hold on you all the time.
Yeah.
With the pages torn out. It's got to be Keith Bennett. He's the only one what's left to find. It's got to be with a lawyer. It's got to be.
I recently met with Alan, and he's asked me to write to Ian Brady's former solicitor, Benedict Bernberg, to see if he's got a complete copy of Blacklight. I think it's incredibly frustrating for the families to know that Ian Brady has written an autobiography, Blacklight, but it's only surfacing now, and that the copy we have is incomplete. So the pages that describe exactly where Keith Bennett is buried could be out there somewhere. Benedict Bernberg died in October 2023. This is interesting. Benedict Bernberg's firm is still going. It's led by prominent lawyer Gareth Pearce. Dear Ms. Pearce, I'm writing to you in connection with a former client of your firm, Ian Brady. I have now been given access to the papers of Ian Brady's biographer, Dr. Alan Keithley.
Hi, Duncan.
Hi, Martin. I've just received an email. Dear Mr. Staff, we will undertake a search of archived files.
Oh, that's really good.
I'll take that as a really good sign. Cheers, Martin. Bye. 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 I think Blacklight is critically important. It might have an X marks the spot for where Keith's buried. And there's a shot here getting hold of those pages, and I'm really pleased with the response. Gives you some faith in human nature.
If Brady's descriptions are accurate, then it means that Blacklight is going to be really valuable to us. But you need to test the accuracy of what he's saying about 30 paces and so on.
So we've actually found Ian Brady's autobiography, Blacklight, talking about the murder of Portland Reed and the preparation for murder, and then a gap. And when I read that, it just really bothered me. So I'd like to show you some of it. This is the stuff that deals with Pauline Reed.
Good heavens. Well, there's clearly something missing, isn't there? I mean, you get to the end of that and think, well, and next page, and it's not.
Yeah. Doesn't feel like somebody running out of steam, does it?
Oh, not at all. It's as if somebody's torn a book in half, isn't it? You know, it just stops.
Yeah. That concerns me.
It concerns me too. Whatever his motivation is, he clearly wants to record it in great detail.
And I've not seen that anywhere else.
No, I haven't either. The legation sounds about right. In terms of distance, general distance, it seems about right, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he talks about the number of paces from the rocks.
Yeah.
If he's done that from some marker in Holgrain or Shiny Brook, it would be an enormous help.
Yeah.
It would be of an enormous help. I mean, we're into the bit that could initiate another inquiry or a continuation of the inquiry. So it is important, definitely. Fascinating, yeah.
I found myself punching the desk when I got there and found there was no more.
It's staggering, really, isn't it? You're going to have to declare this to the police.
I'm writing to make you aware of recent developments and to offer assistance. We last corresponded 12 years ago. Since then, I've stayed away from the Moors murders. But the emergence of 2 sets of documentation has led to me re-engaging with the case. So I'm writing to the head of Greater Manchester Police cold case team to let them know what we've been doing. No idea how they're going to react. So I feel quite neutral about it in a way. It's something that's got to be done, you know. It's clearly the right thing to do.
It's not just for one, it's just for all the families. We'll never give up till he's found. Because he needs to be at rest with his mum.
Anybody, I don't care who it is, and they find him or they don't find him, at least they've tried.
We're conscious that the publication of this new material and the work we've completed to try and identify the burial site of Keith Bennett will attract attention and might be followed by volunteer search activity. We feel that it is only responsible to offer you a briefing on the material and our conclusions. This will allow you to decide whether any police action is warranted. We're in a position to do this now. If you wish to take us up on this offer, please let me know. Kind regards, Duncan Staff. Here we go. It's gone. Now we wait. He's on leave for the next 2 weeks.
I think we've given them plenty of information to think about, particularly in relation to blacklight.
It's the only thing that could possibly lead to an X marks the spot, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's absolutely, you know, they've got the legal wherewithal to pursue that more than we have.
They're the only ones with the power to compel anyone to hand material over.
Yeah.
Since 1964, Greater Manchester Police has remained committed to finding answers for Keith Bennett's family.
John, it's Duncan.
Hello, Duncan.
Here's a surprising twist. 1 minute they're keen, and the next minute it's do not send us any of the materials, we don't want them.
So after all this, does that mean that the police aren't going to look for any other parts of the black light?
I don't know, John.
Terrible. I mean, that's the sort of thing that's public outcry.
Yeah, I just don't get it.
It just sounds so ludicrous. The more I think about it, the worse it gets. That's the honest truth. What is going on?
We've always said that we would respond in a timely and appropriate manner to any credible information which may lead us towards finding Keith.
Let's keep at it, let's keep going. I want to find Keith. Other people want to find Keith needs to be found.
Who knows when we're going to stop? You only fail when you stop.
I don't think we'll find Keith. That's all I wish for. That's all I wish for.
There have been so many missed opportunities to find Keith. And we can't let this be another one. We have to make sure that everything's done and that every effort is made to get hold of the missing pages of Black Light and to finally remove Ian Brady's control. And then you have Pauline Reed's murder.
It's incredible that exists.
Frustratingly, the rest of it is missing. This stops the night before John Kilbride's murder.
Unbelievable.
You know, in my mind, nagging away is, where's the rest of this?
Yeah.
Does that exist somewhere in relation to Keith Bennett?
Well, I would be amazed if that's where this stops.
It's interesting when he talks about the murder of Pauline, the way he describes Myra Hindley's involvement. The more detail someone puts in, it just feels less like they're lying.
Yes, I think you're right.
I mean, this is the first time where we've got an indication there might actually be something written down that describes where and how Keith was killed.
For some reason, those pages have gone missing. There must be more of it.
You know, there clearly is a gap here. And it's not some narrative error. This is a guy who's written really clearly up to that point, and then suddenly there's a big gap. You know, you stand in that moor, you look at the vast landscape, and you think, oh my God, how are we ever going to find him? And you know, whatever evidence, however analytical about it, you think, oh, I think, God, you know, how do you make this work? But then when you think he might have actually described what happened with Keith Bennett, well, it changes things completely, doesn't it? I really, really want to know where the rest of this manuscript is. Is the evidence there?
As I neared the knoll, I cut deeper onto the moor, making for the pre-arranged spot where we would be invisible from the road. The black light began to operate.
The black light comes from the moment of killing. It descended on him, a black light. But it was like a spiritual experience for him. It's a time-based...
It says, a deathscape made to measure. Mara concurred.
It took only a short time to excavate the soft peat to a depth of 4 feet. We counted the paces back to a rock on the knoll in order to be able to find the site and photograph it at a future date. That detail I've not read anywhere else before.
That's extraordinary.
You've got the description of Pauline there, but the pages to do with Keith are missing.
It ends at page 394, but that only takes us up to the start of the second murder.
So where's the rest of it?
I got your envelopes and everything else, and tobacco and everything. Is there anything else?
If you bring in, you know, those, what mention the other thing on it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you. So one of the most significant things we found amongst Alan's papers is an autobiography by Ian Brady. Critically, there are details in there of the first murder.
A real detailed description of Pauline Reed's murder and how they chose the sites and how they, you know, made sure they couldn't be seen from the road and the traffic. But it does stop at critical points.
The question in our mind is there something like that for Keith Bennett? So it's a massive breakthrough.
This autobiography, Brady referred to as Blacklight.
Oh, right.
As far as we can tell, this is Alan's copy.
Oh, yes.
So this ends at page 394.
It's so incredibly frustrating because if the detail is there for Keith Bennett in the same way as it was for Pauline Reed, you've almost got an X marks the spot.
It's hugely important information that we need to try and access somehow.
Do you remember Alan talking about Blacklight to you?
Yes, I remember. Yes, he did talk about it.
What
I
did he
didn't
say?
know whether it was in connection with Brady or in the next book that Alan was writing. I wasn't quite sure, but I definitely remember him talking about it. Alan had to get it out of Ashworth Hospital.
Right.
In a carrier bag, I suppose. But they weren't very good on security of items coming in and out.
It's not going to draw attention, is it? It was in a carrier bag. And, yeah.
Well, absolutely.
To have access to the material?
Nothing at all, no.
And these officers had been working on the re-investigation in the sort of early mid-2000s, I think it was. And so it's incredibly surprising they didn't ask the right questions. You know, had this been a full copy, and to let it slip through their fingers by not asking the right questions, for me is, you know, is almost unforgivable.
They didn't look at anything.
We need to know whether there's other copies out there and you know, how we can access them. Was Alan in touch with any of Brady's solicitors?
Only by letter. As far as I know, there were no telephone conversations.
So you can recall there was correspondence between them over the years?
I'm not supposed to be fucking phoning you, you know.
Oh, right.
I'm supposed to be phoning the solicitor.
Okay.
But I phoned both of them with no consent. I might as well fucking hold a seance to try and contact them, tell them fucking life.
Yeah.
See, I'm getting these letters from the solicitors, but you're replying back openly, and all my fucking letters are censored.
Yeah.
So by replying back that about the autobiography and fucking getting it from Bernberg, these cunts here now know that fact.
Yeah.
So if the fucking police wanted to get their hands on that fucking thing, they could use fucking threats on you, but they couldn't use it on Bernberg.
Yeah. That's really concerning, isn't it? Because he's saying he's got an autobiography, what happened during the Moors murders, that's lodged with his solicitor, Benedict Bernberg. It could be that an explanation as to where Keith Bennett is locked away in the solicitor's office.
There could be a really accurate description of exactly where Keith is buried. That's a really
big
clear
thing. It's it's something small. You know what I mean? It's a major. I can't believe it. I'm shocked that you written it, but now it surprises me. We know how his mind works now. They're crafty, sneaky. It's Ian Brady's last words. You know what I mean? To say what's gone on.
Yeah.
It's control. Yeah, he just wants that hold on you all the time.
Yeah.
With the pages torn out. It's got to be Keith Bennett. He's the only one that's left to find. It's got to be with a lawyer. It's got to be.
I recently met with Alan, and he's asked me to write to Ian Brady's former solicitor, Benedict Bernberg, to see if he's got a complete copy of Blacklight. I think it's incredibly frustrating for the families to know that Ian Brady has written an autobiography, Blacklight, but it's only surfacing now, and that the copy we have is incomplete. So the pages that describe exactly where Keith Bennett is buried could be out there somewhere. Benedict Bernberg died in October 2023. This is interesting. Benedict Bernberg's firm is still going. It's led by prominent lawyer Gareth Pearce. Dear Ms. Pearce, I'm writing to you in connection with a former client of your firm, Ian Brady. I have now been given access to the papers of Ian Brady's biographer, Dr. Alan Keithley.
Hi, Duncan.
Hi, Martin. I've just received an email.
Yeah.
Dear Mr. Staff, we will undertake a search of archived files.
Oh, that's really good.
I'll take that as a really good sign. Cheers, Martin. Bye.
Okay.
Bye. I think Blacklight is critically important. It might have an X marks the spot for where Keith's buried. And there's a shot here getting hold of those pages, and I'm really pleased with the response. Give you some faith in human nature.
If Brady's descriptions are accurate, then it means that Blacklight is going to be really valuable to us. But you need to test the accuracy of what he's saying about 30 paces and so on.
So we've actually found Ian Brady's autobiography, Blacklight, talking about the murder of Paul and Reed and the preparation for murder, and then a gap. And when I read that, it just really bothered me. So I'd like to just show you some of it. This is the stuff that deals with Pauline Reed.
Good heavens. Well, there's clearly something missing, isn't there? I mean, you get to the end of that and think, well, and next page, and it's not.
Yeah. Doesn't feel like somebody running out of steam, does it?
Oh, not at all. It's as if somebody's torn a book in half, isn't it? You know, it just stops
Yeah, that concerns me.
It concerns me too. Whatever his motivation
Yeah.
is, he clearly wants to record it in great detail.
And I've not seen that anywhere else.
No, no, I haven't either. The location sounds about right. In terms of distance, general distance, it seems about right, yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, he talks about the number of paces from the rocks.
Yeah.
If he's done that from some marker in Howlgrain or Shiny Brook, it would be an enormous help.
Yeah.
It would be of an enormous help. I mean, we're into the bit that could initiate another inquiry. Or